Jeremy.
Hi there.
It's such a pleasure to have you today. Identity Pet, right?
Yes, Identity Pet Nutrition is my company.
Great. We had the pleasure to meet before, and I found you one of those company owners, which is you're different. You're managing your business differently. You come from another place. And I find that very visionary. And this is actually why I kind of introduced Pet Industry Rising, this summit, to our industry, because I want to give people the opportunity to learn from other owners and CEOs or COOs. And, so far I've basically had the pleasure to interview people across the board, from technology to food. So it's all pet related, of course. So welcome. And I would love to dive right in and ask you first, introduce yourself quickly, Jeremy, and tell us what's most important to you for your company and for the business you're in.
My name's Jeremy Petersen. I'm founder, president, and CEO of Identity Pet Nutrition, a small Colorado family-owned pet food company. The most important thing to me as a business owner is that I'm able to own my business and we don't have to have investors or private equity, which really allows us to focus on quality, innovation, and doing things different than most people do within the industry. Yeah.
Okay. So how are you enabling yourself to do that without other people's money, right? Without OPM?
It's a significant sacrifice, right? So it's all what you're about. To us, it's about building something durable and long-term, maybe hopefully a generational business that hopefully if I have kids someday, they can get involved in. And so with that, it's not about making huge sums of money or having big houses, things like that. It's about really focusing on the health and well-being of the pet to produce the best product we can and drive a lot of innovation to make a lot of lasting legacies over time, while driving sustainable growth. That's the biggest thing to us. I've been in situations where you go from zero to hero overnight. I helped grow a company from zero to $8.5 million in 2 years, really. And that puts a lot of financial strain on the business, and you have to go seeking investors. And so when I started this, I wanted to be diligent that we grew the right way with the right strategy, didn't have a huge spike like that. We started out happy growing $500,000 a year. Now we're getting to the point where we like to grow $1 million a year, which is still tremendously fast, especially in today's economy. But it's manageable with us making sacrifices, reinvesting every dime back into our business, and really focusing on the growth of the business with where we're at in life, and making those sacrifices so that we can keep ownership, because keeping ownership allows us to be innovative, do things the way we like to. For example, we have a huge business that's direct to consumer. That direct-to-consumer business is freeing for us. It is a strong margin business. It provides a lot of innovation avenues for us, and allows us to separate ourselves from the pack, which in the way we do it, we wouldn't be able to do that with investors who are always kind of looking at you, wanting to grow in every segment you compete in. Or grow too fast, or lower the margin. We're able to get sustainable growth and profitable growth, especially
you mentioned sustainable growth, right? So because you're actually singing my song, because as you know, I think we spoke about that before, but I'm a growth expert. So that's what I do, right? I typically help companies to grow multiple ways, right? But generally, there is a lot of growth in any company coming from the inside out, right? So people think I can only grow with other people's money. I love to call it OPM. That's not the truth, though, because you can totally grow in yourself, right? So, and there are means to do that, and you're kind of proving my case, frankly. So you're singing my song that way, and I much appreciate that approach. So, you said something very important before. It's about the value we give the business. As you said, we don't drive big cars, and you said something like that, right? So it's about not draining your business, it's about feeding your business. Right?
Yep.
And I appreciate that approach very much. And I think that has a lot of integrity. Tell us, how do you said you have a very big business to consumer business. Why were you driven to do that business model rather than, going through retail?
That became a factor of how to survive during 2020 and the COVID pandemic. When we started in 2018 and 2019, we were committed 100% to brick and mortar retail. We thought we'd be 100% brick and mortar retail business. Yeah. Maybe a little online component, but when the world shut down in March of 2020, we were sitting there with a very young business doing about $500,000 a year at the time, just really starting to get into kind of a growth pattern. And we're like, what do we do now? We can't travel anywhere to see retailers. We have to pivot this business. And so the U.S. government gave us a $300,000 low interest loan under their EIDL program. We took every dollar of that to redo our website onto the Shopify platform. July 15th of 2020, we launched on Shopify and really focused while the world was shut down on growing that to stay in business and keep our bills paid. And so we were able to keep the $500,000 or so of retail business we had while beginning very small growth. The first month, I think we did about $3,000-$4,000. But we always had the mindset of how do we learn and how do we grow and how do we scale this to where by October of that year, I think we were doing $15,000 or $20,000 a month.
Amazing.
A lot of money. And back then, trust me, we were doing backflips because you look at the whole scheme of things, I think it's 0.4% of businesses do over $1 million a year online. And so it's a very, very big accomplishment to be able to get $1 million business. And back then at $20,000 a month, it's a huge amount of money. We're still going, man, how do you get to $1 million? Now we're past that mark, which is the key. We've been able to turn direct to consumer into kind of exponential growth, which is good and bad. We're able to make it work there because the margin is strong and our advertising return has been strong. But there's times where it's really tough, right? It's really lean because advertising might not be strong for a month. Right now, advertising is getting really expensive. And in that model, you always want new customers.
Yeah. Especially last quarter is hard, right? It's hard.
We really noticed, especially digital advertising, the cost started going up in the end of April and through the summer. And right now, it's really expensive, really difficult. We've had to relook at all our strategies right now.
Interesting. There's another factor coming into that play, I think, is ChatGPT. Did you at least see the article? There was an article the other day in the press about how ChatGPT now starts connecting purchases directly with Shopify.
Yeah, Shopify is going to release that. They haven't released it yet. I'm on an email list to get that as soon as we can.
Exciting, right?
Very exciting. I've been not at the front of the curve on all the other new technology. I mean, I wasn't first there when Facebook came out. We explored TikTok and made one of the first there, but it didn't work with our business model. And so now we really feel that ChatGPT and AI, we can be one of the first to embrace this model of AI learning, selling people. We actually right now are already using a similar feature on our website. We turned it on last week. If you go and chat with us, we have an AI bot who makes sales recommendations now.
Fantastic.
And so testing that out, AI has been really transformative for our business. Last year, we were slow to embrace it. By November, we finally started embracing AI. 80% of our customer service now is driven by AI. We've been able to increase customer satisfaction over 200%. We average 4 to 4.5 out of 5 stars now. When we had humans running it, we were at 3 to 3.25.
Isn't that incredible? Why do you think that is?
So when we first got into it, for the first 8 months, from November and 8 months onward into this year, we didn't really we let consumers know, hey, this is a human response, this is an AI response. That drove a lot of animosity. And so a couple months ago, we turned that off, and we don't let people know what's human and what's AI now. Since we've done that, it's taken the tension out. AI, whether you want to face it or not, if you train it the right way, can do better than any human. It's actually very good at we're in an emotional industry. And so a lot of the responses we get can be emotional and loaded. And to be able to provide good customer service, in my opinion, you can't have an emotional loaded response back. You have to tackle it logically and with facts. And so it's fair for the consumer. And I found AI to be a great determiner of reason and reasonability, and be able to provide those truth and facts. And so I
what you're
really,
saying, you're going, excuse me to interrupt you, Jeremy, quickly. Just what you're saying is AI is actually able to de-emotionalize, so to say. So basically turning the emotion of the consumer back to a factual response, which is still connecting with the consumer.
That's one way you can put it. Yeah, it'll take, when a customer comes in really heated, really upset, it can help bring them down a notch while we get a response in that's fair and reasonable to both parties. Which is where I think the real growth comes there for businesses, because if you're always reacting to an emotional customer with customer care, you're going to lose a lot of money. You're just going to try and take care of it with throwing free things there and taking responsibility for situations that might even not be the company's fault.
Yeah.
With AI, you're able to know when a customer is worth replacing the product, taking the risk, taking great care of them, versus a customer who may be a repeat offender, right? They may come in and every package they get is lost because they want free food. So you can start to separate the wheat from the chaff, and really find the customer that's valuable for you and treat them right, while improving customer satisfaction overall.
Yeah. What do you think, like, in terms of advertising, what do you think will happen, like, in the context of ChatGPT? I mean, if I look at my son, who's pretty young, he is not asking Google, he is asking ChatGPT. So
yeah, I had a friend, I was having a conversation with a friend back in May, and I'm like, yeah, I use ChatGPT every day. And we were talking about putting inputs from our business into ChatGPT. And I told him I don't care, because I want AI to learn everything they can about my business.
Yes.
That it's their day one. And I think the businesses who have taken that approach are going to be right at the forefront, because AI's got to know about you first. And the brands that it knows now, we're going to be right in front of the toughest generation to get to buy your product, which is younger Gen Zers.
Tell me about that. Why do you say it's the toughest?
Because I tell people they're still in a like vintage mindset, by and large. They want to shop at a vintage store and get used clothing, and haven't come up to being a purchaser of new items, right? Of luxury items, or better for you items. It's been a really budget minded process for them. Some of that upbringing, I'm sure, some of it just the cultural and generational norm that developed with that age group. And so while you see a lot of millennials going out, spending at restaurants, spending on better pet food, wanting the best for their pet because it's like a kid, the Gen Z generation just isn't there yet. I think they will want that quality, but they've got to grow into it. And so we've taken the approach of, we have to meet them with a product that is good to good enough, but still has luxury bells and whistles and can be a premium, better for you product that we can sell as more economical. So we have a brand, Red Rabbit, which is a kibble brand that we're actually planning to launch next year.
Beautiful.
Which is, it's a concept that's good enough, right? The kibble concept, you could say, is outdated, but it's good enough right now, and it provides an economical platform for that consumer. but we're going to wrap it in with technology and media that the generation also likes. So driving home a narrative story on YouTube and perhaps TikTok and Instagram of this red rabbit, and doing a lot of fun media things with storytelling.
Mm. Are you
That's
telling
how
me
you
that
have to
you
get.
developed a product based on a generation? Is that
Yeah,
what
we're
you said?
developing that product. We pretty much have taken the foresight to develop that product based on the
I
generation.
mean, that's a very progressive approach, right?
Yeah, I came into the industry in 2012 when I was a millennial, and everyone was talking about millennials back then. And so in some ways, my products are perfectly positioned for millennials, and they found a perfect positioning for baby boomers and older generations,
Yes.
because of the quality that we produce.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at our purchase behavior, it's purely millennials and those older generations. With We don't do well with Gen X, but
Yeah.
that's tough, I know, for a lot of people. But we're unable to get millennials with our current products. They're expensive. They're You have to be at that point in your life where you're a whole food shopper, and I just don't see the Gen Zers there yet. And so we looked at it and said, how do we create this model where we all already have the best, but we can provide them something that starts to get them in that mindset of wanting to feed better, but meets their current lifestyle goals.
Yeah.
And to us,
Accessibility, right? So it has to be accessible for that generation.
exactly, accessibility, price point.
Yeah.
How can we bring in things that they like media and technology? While this kibble has used certified PhD nutritionists, it's also it'll be one of the first kibbles that overcame some significant challenges with AI. We've used artificial intelligence in the formulation and unlocked a lot of learnings there, which excites us.
Are you telling that story as well to the consumer?
Yeah, we're going to tell that story as well, because especially where we started this question, Gen Z's all into technology and Chat GPT, and I think it buys a lot of credibility with that audience that you're going after, with them knowing that you helped use that to overcome some of the biggest challenges that have faced a product like this from not getting to market.
Wow. So tell me, I mean, Jeremy, if I listen to you, this is super progressive. So what if you like think ahead for the next 3 years? I don't want to do it any longer because I think it's going to be so quick, right? Everything's going to be so quick. Acceleration is the name of the game at the moment. So in 3 years, what do you think will be what will the industry be like? What will change in the pet industry? What do you think?
I think the industry is going to be significantly different. It's already changed in the last 5 years, from 2020 to 2025. I was looking through a list of retailers that we had previously, and a lot of those retailers are out of business now. We're seeing a narrowing of brick and mortar independent retailers.
Absolutely.
Which I expect to continue, which is going to make things tough for a lot of legacy players.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to look more towards online. We see it every day with these customers. Well, not customers, our competitors. We're seeing more and more of our competitors with digital advertising every day. And so we're seeing them try to come and play online. They recognize that the consumer is probably going online. But a lot of them aren't going to succeed there because they don't have the learnings, they don't have the patience to learn how that model works. And so a lot of money is going to be spent online, and as is being spent online at a huge loss to most companies, because they can't diligently over time take growth. They want to grow now. They're using online right now to take up the loss, to hopefully absorb the loss they're taking in brick and mortar channels.
Yeah.
That doesn't end well when you have to make up several millions of dollars in a quarter or 6 months or a year. And so we see a lot of diligent players who are able to grow over time will become web-based businesses. One thing that scares me a ton is brick and mortar retailers are making it easier than ever for people to transition to online. we're seeing with our older generation, they're going into stores wanting a new progressive product like ours, but the stores want to hold on to legacy products.
Yes.
The customer's not going to buy the legacy product. They're going to go and find access to the product they want. And so they'll go and a lot of times they might buy from us direct on our website. We sell at a higher price. We don't have a friendly return policy because we try to protect the brick and mortar retailer. But despite that, they go, I don't care. I'm going to try the product. We ship them the product. It's a really good experience. Next thing you know, they're on auto ship and they're ordering a frozen product to their house every week. Online is able to overcome barriers now. FedEx and UPS are able to ship very quickly, especially if you as a company can fulfill quickly, to where there's really no competitive advantage with brick and mortar retailer and online, which I think is going to push more and more people online, unless the brick and mortar retailer can adapt and become more focused on new innovative products, that it might be more difficult to get going online.
Or more focused really on service, service in the sense of real recommendation, real education.
Real education is the biggest thing.
Right.
And that's going to be tough too, because as we discussed a little bit ago with AI, it's amazing the educational tool and how quickly AI can become an educational tool. I mean, customers come into us now and they can tell us, my dog's 20 pounds, he exercises a lot, and give us the lifestyle characteristics. And our AI will give you a spot on feeding, daily feeding
recommendation. Fantastic. So what's your experience in retaining customers with your model? Is that an easy one? Because I'm sure you're measuring customer lifetime value and,
retaining customers is always difficult in an emotional industry like pet. Some people can get emotional. But what we've found and what's been key to us is getting product to that consumer quickly. If we can get an order in and get it shipped within 6 to 12 hours, then we can compensate if UPS or FedEx makes a mistake. And it still, even if it gets there in 3 days, it still seems very quick to the consumer. We try to take all the headache out, which I think is the biggest thing to our retention, because we're able to get people product now when they need it, keep their pets fed. One thing as a company that I am crazy about, because not enough people in our industry are, in my opinion, is making sure we keep very heavy inventory levels, because I don't want my customers to be out of product. They should be able to rely on me. So we keep very heavy inventory to make sure their pet can be fed. When we do see inventory challenges, we usually can see those coming. We'll let them know 3 months ahead of time, right? When we have a factory shutdown that occurs at the end of the year with Christmas, we'll start warning customers in a couple of weeks that, hey,
there might be
we can't get product for 3 weeks, and we probably won't get a shipment in the new year until the 3rd week of January. Up now. So communicating with the customer is key. Delivering fast value is key. And that's really where we've been. You see, we get damage complaints just like everyone. We try and take care of those as quickly as we can and be fair, but we don't just ship product to apologize. We found you don't really have to. And in fact, a lot of those customers who want free products when an issue arises, they get addicted to that and they just expect to feed their pet for free. And so we've found a great avenue where we treat them right from start to finish, get them their product quick, communicate with them extenuously, give them a lot of knowledge and education around everything we do. And the consumer is a lifetime consumer. We retain 70 to 80% of the consumers that purchase our product a second time.
Fabulous. Okay, Jeremy. So if you had a wish for the industry, to conclude our interview, what would be the wish you have?
I guess you could say my wish would be that hopefully brick and mortar retail can fix the challenges and issues that they see and at least sustain themselves and start growing a little bit. I've always been a huge shop local supporter myself. I don't like to shop at big companies. I shop local whenever I can. If I go to a hardware store, instead of going to Home Depot, I go to the little guy down the street. So
Right.
that's always been very near and dear to me. When we started this company, that was the goal of starting the company, was to provide a product that neighborhood pet stores could build their store on and create community. I guess I could put it that way as well, as community. I grew up in this industry, so I've seen it since I was 5 years old. And what they had 20, 30 years ago was a lot of community. Everyone's talked, got together, worked together, brainstormed together. I'd like to see some more of that. That's really become a goal of ours, is how do we create community, um, and really bring thought leadership together to push the industry forward. I really notice a lack of thought leadership in different ways that is I think causing stagnation in our
Yeah.
industry.
Great. Yeah.
Where if we create community and thought leadership, we can come through a lot of these challenges that
Yeah,
face.
you're right. I think, community allows one thing, and that's cross-pollination, right? And cross-pollination actually helps us all to grow. So it's not the fear of competition, it's the fear of isolation, I think, which brings us into stagnation. So part of, what I'm keep preaching to the choir, I guess, but, is if we want to grow, let's make sure we exchange ideas and we exactly do what we did tonight. So Jeremy, stay on the line after I said my official goodbyes here to you. I'm going to stop the recording in a minute, but thank you so much for your time. It was absolutely wonderful to talk to you. You're a real visionary, and it's great what you're doing with Identity Pet, and all the best for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Take care.
Take care.